Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Heath. I'm here to do your read aloud. And we just finished up our week working on our animal reports. They turned out so great. I love how hard you worked on them and how great they turned out. And you got to share all the information you learned about your animal with your friends. And you learned information about your friends' animals that they worked on. How great was that? So today I'm going to share a book that's a nonfiction book about an animal that I know a lot about because it's something I raise at my house. And this animal is a bee. So the title of my book is Bees. And it's a National Geographic kids book. So I really like these books. These have great pictures and they give us lots of great facts about the animals. And I even wore my bee shirt today. So you look at my bee happy shirt. I love bees. And they really are a great animal. They're very important to our earth. So let's read about bees. Ooh, look at the inside cover with the title page, Bees. All the bees are on their honeycomb beehive. My author is Laura Marsh, and I'm not sure if she took these pictures too, because these are pictures, aren't they? They're not drawings, they're actual pictures because this is a nonfiction book with factual information. A lot of times they give us pictures, real pictures. So here's our table of contents. These are all the different topics we will learn about today, reading our bee book. Here we go. The first topic is bzzz. Outside, the sun is shining, the flowers are blooming, and the bees are buzzing. When some people see bees, they run. Others might not notice the bees, but let's stop and take a closer look. Bees are helpful. Our world needs bees. And while I'm reading this, I want you to try to remember two facts, because that's what I'm going to ask you at the end. Two facts about bees. So try to learn something with me, and hopefully you'll remember those facts at the end. This is helpful bees. Bees help both people and plants. Honeybees make honey and beeswax. People use those things in lots of ways. Beeswax is used to make candles and cleaning supplies. Honey is sweet and delicious. It sure is. I love honey. And this is a bee sits on a flower of a strawberry plant. All kinds of bees help plants make seeds. Seeds can grow into new plants. Some of those plants give us fruits and vegetables. We can thank bees for strawberries, apples, almonds, tomatoes, and many other foods. Bees love fruits and vegetable plants. They help my garden grow. This says pollen power. When a bee lands on a flower, the flower's pollen rubs off on the bee. Pollen sticks to tiny hairs on the bee's body. Buzzword pollen is a sticky yellow powder made by the flowers. When the bee travels to another flower, pollen from the bee brushes off onto the new flower. This is called pollination. Now the new flower can start to make seeds. So these bees are helping other plants grow and make seeds so other plants can grow and keep growing and keep growing. A bee's leg has special hairs that form a basket. The bee brushes pollen onto the basket and then it flies back to the nest. This pollen is used for food for the baby bees. Oh. This says these pollen baskets are filled with pollen. Only female bees have them. So only the female have these pollen baskets to bring that pollen home to the babies. And this is an empty pollen basket right here on it. So that's a bee leg. Bees collect nectar from flowers too. They drink nectar with their tongues. Some bees make honey out of nectar, and these bees are called honeybees. That's the kind of bee I have at my house. This is the tongue of a bumblebee. Look at that. Buzzword nectar, a sweet, sugary juice that the flowers make. 7 cool facts about bees. Number 1, a garden bumblebee has a tongue that is as long as its body. Look at that. Number 2, humans collected honeybees from bees as early as 6,000 BC. They collected honey from bees, not honeybees. They collected honey from bees as early as 6,000 BC, which was about 8,000 years ago. That's a long time. Number 3, bees have 4 wings, 2 large wings and 2 small wings. Aha, 4 wings. Number 4, bees can see colors. They are most likely to land on flowers that are blue, purple, or yellow. Ah, those are their favorite colors. Farmers often hire beekeepers. This is number 5. Farmers often hire beekeepers to bring bees to their fields. The bees pollinate the farmers' crops. I have a friend that does that. Number 6, honeybees do a dance called the waggle. Scientists think that the dance shows other bees in the hive where the best nectar is. They do kind of waggle their bottoms. Number 7, about 1/3 of the food on our planet grows because of bees' pollination, which is why they're so important. We need bees to keep our food growing. Really important. A bee or not a bee? It's easy to mistake other insects for bees because they often look alike. So here's a bee. Has hair all over its body that helps catch the pollen. Eats nectar and pollen from flowers and has pollen baskets if the bee is a female, just like this one. This one, but there are also ways to tell them apart. Take a closer look at a bee and a yellow jacket wasp, which is this guy, which is not a bee. Do you see what's different? So here's the bee, and here's the yellow jacket wasp. And it says eats mostly meat, such as other insects. So this guy eats other insects. Does not have much hair, so he's kind of got a shiny body, and does not have the pollen baskets on its legs. I always think of bees as kind of furry. A lot of time when you see a honeybee, they will almost look like they're furry. And a yellow jacket wasp, they are shiny and not furry. A world of bees. About 20,000 kinds of bees live on Earth. All bees are either solitary bees or social bees. Solitary means they're by themselves. Social bees mean they live in a group. A solitary bee makes a nest for its young. The nest is inside a hole in the ground, in wood, in walls, or in plant stems. Solitary bees collect pollen, but they do not make honey or beeswax. Oh, this is going to tell us the buzzwords solitary and social. So solitary are bees that live alone. Social bees are bees that live in a group. So some bees live in the ground by themselves, and other bees live in a hive like my bees do, and those are the social bees. They live together, and they make honey. Social bees live with many other bees. A group of social bees is called a colony. A colony of bees live in a hive. Honeybees are one kind of social bee. As many as 50,000 honeybees may live in one hive. Bees care for their young there. They make and store honey in the hive too. So here is a big hive. And you can see here's a hive on the inside, kind of seeing the different hives and the way they make their comb. This is called the comb. And a buzzword is a hive, an open space within a tree structure or box where the social bees live together. And we keep ours in a box. It's a wooden box that has different frames where they make the comb and the honey. Home sweet home. Inside the hive, honeybees build with beeswax. The bees mold the wax into 6-sided shapes called cells. Lots of cells together make the honeycomb. So that's what this is. Buzzword honeycomb. Excuse me. A sheet of 6-sided cells made of beeswax. They kind of look like a hexagon, don't they? It's a 6-sided shape. The bees put nectar from flowers into some of the cells. As the nectar gets thicker, it turns into honey. Bees eat the honey for food. Yes, they do. In fact, we leave honey in the hive for our bees so they can eat it all winter. We leave a whole bunch of honey in there so they have food over the winter. Other cells in the hive hold bee eggs. There is one egg in each cell, and the eggs hatch. The young bees grow and change, and after 21 to 24 days, the young bees become adults. So these are, I'll show you this. Each cell has an egg. So here's the little eggs in each cell. And then here they are like larvae. They say the adult bees care and feed for their young. They almost look like little worms inside here when they go from an egg to a larva. These young bees are almost ready to come out of those cells. And look, they almost look like a full-grown bee. And this is a bee taking care of the baby bees inside the cells. Oh, I should show you this. This kind of shows you the stages as it grows from an egg all the way to a full-grown adult bee. A bee starts as an egg and becomes an adult in about 3 weeks. It's that 21 to 24 days. Busy as a bee. Each honeybee in the colony has a special job. These jobs keep the colony healthy and strong. There is only one queen bee. She is bigger than the other bees. She lays all the eggs, up to 1,500 per day, 1,500 eggs per day. That's a lot. Worker bees surround the queen, and she is the largest bee in the middle. So you can always tell who's the queen bee because she's the big one. And sometimes we look in our hive to find her to make sure she's doing okay. Sometimes even beekeepers will mark the queen with a little spot of paint on her so you can find her easily. Sometimes she's hard to find. But the bees will surround the queen. They're always taking care of her. And there's only one queen in the entire hive. There are two other kinds of bees in the colony. Drone bees are the male bees, and their job is to help the queen make the eggs. Worker bees have many jobs. These females feed the queen and care for the young. They build the hive and make honey. On long flying trips, they collect pollen and nectar. They also guard the hive against enemies. Phew, that's a lot of work. And those are usually the female bees. So the male drones are the ones that help make the eggs, and the female worker bees do pretty much all the other jobs. This worker bee is collecting pollen. You can see the pollen baskets are full on her legs. Keeping bees. Oh, this looks kind of like something I wear. It's called a veil that you put over your head and body to keep the bees from stinging you while you're working on the hives. Some humans build honeybee hives out of wooden boxes. Beekeepers take care of the hives and collect the honey. Beekeepers also check the bee colonies to make sure they are healthy. Beekeepers know how important bees are to our world. That's really why we want to keep bees, and we try to get more and more every year and build more hives. They are so important to our world, and they're really great for our garden to grow. This says be aware. Here are some tips for staying safe around bees. First, move slowly. Don't wave your arms or jump around. If a bee thinks it's being attacked, it will sting you. That's true. We try to move very slow, and they usually don't even bother us too much. If a bee comes near you, stand still or walk slowly away. Do not swat at a bee. Let it fly away on its own. Do not disturb any bee nests or honeybee hives. The bees will defend their home and may sting an attacker. If you are stung by a bee, put ice on the sting. If you leave bees alone, they will probably leave you alone, which is very true. There is only one time since I've been a beekeeper. I've been a beekeeper for 3 years. There's only been one time I've been stung, and it was right in the middle of my forehead. And it was funny because I was taking a picture of my beehives, and I got a little too close, and a bee came right up and went boop and stung me right in the head. And they thought I was trying to attack their hive because I was a little close. So they were protecting their hive, and it hurt for a couple days. Ooh, look at this. There's a quiz at the end, guys. Look at this. Quiz whiz, it says. How much do you know about bees after reading this book? Probably a lot. Take this quiz and find out. And the answers are at the bottom of the page. So I can tell you the answers. They're right down here. Number 1. What do honeybees do in a hive? Do they A, live with other honeybees, B, raise their young babies, C, make and store honey, or D, all of the above? Oh, I know this answer. What do you think it is? It's D, all of the above. They do all those things. They live with their honeybees, they raise their babies, and they make and store honey. They do all those. Number 2, what is pollen? Is it A, a kind of bee, B, a powder made by flowers, C, a kind of plant, or D, where the bees live? What do you think pollen is? It is B, a powder made by the flowers. Nice job. Number 3, social bees live where? A, with other bees, B, alone, C, with ants, or D, with wasps? Where do social bees live? The answer is A, with other bees. They don't live alone, right? And they definitely don't live with ants or wasps. Those are predators to bees. We don't want those in our hives. Number 4, bees are helpful because they, what? A, make honey. B, help plants make seeds. C, make beeswax. Or D, all of the above. Which one do you think? The answer is D, all of the above. They make honey for us, they help the plants make seeds, and they make beeswax, which are all helpful things for us. Number 5, there's only one of these in a bee colony. Which one? A, a drone, B, a worker, C, a queen, or D, a cell? Which one of these is there only one of in a beehive colony? The answer is C, a queen. There's only one queen bee in the whole colony. Number 6, what is the name of the honeybee's dance? Do you remember when we talked about them wiggling their butts? What's the name of their dance? A, the waggle, B, the hustle, C, the wiggle, or D, the chicken? Oh, that's funny. Well, I can tell you it's A, the waggle. That's what this book called it. They called it the waggle, but it also could kind of be called the wiggle because that's really what they do. They wiggle and waggle their behinds. Oh, that's funny. Behinds. Number 7, last one. What does a bee do with its long tongue? Does it A, brush pollen into its baskets, B, drink the nectar, C, attract the queen, or D, stick it out at other bees? Oh, that's funny. I love that answer. The answer is B. It drinks the nectar from the flowers. It sticks its tongue in the flowers and drinks that nectar, which what it makes honey with. Awesome. Here's some vocabulary words we learned. A hive is an open space within a tree structure or box where the social bees live together. A honeycomb is a sheet of 6-sided cells made of beeswax. Nectar is a sweet, sugary juice that flowers make. Pollen is a sticky yellow powder made by flowers. Social bees are bees that live in a group, and solitary bees are bees that live alone. Wow, we learned a lot about bees from this book. Here's the back of the book. And I'm really glad I got to share this with you, and it made me realize how much I already know about bees. So this was a great book, and I want to know what you learned. So can you tell me 2 facts that you learned from this book? I would love to know what you remember that you learned about bees. Maybe it's something you already knew, and maybe it's something you learned that's new. Tell me in the comments. I hope you have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye-bye.